Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? One of the things that for me in my journey I've found, and this is kind of the direction I want to step into, is having to face the reality that intimacy only comes through ultimately letting your guard down, the willingness to let
Mm,
people in, the understanding that the truth that realistically most people are not out to get you. And
mhm.
I'm really curious about, not only in your journey but in a practical sense, how can folks step into that place of being open to intimacy?
All intimacy starts with self-love, and this is the stepping stone. And it sounds like a cliche, I get. You got to love yourself to love other people. And for years, I thought that was a total cliche. But the truth is, you need to learn to love yourself, and that means overcoming your childhood traumas, your personal history. If you've been through abuse or loss, it could be being betrayed as an adult. All these things in life are setting you up to make decisions. You come to a crossroads in life that no matter how many bad things happen to you, you have to make a fundamental choice if you're going to go left or right. Are you going to love yourself or you're not going to love yourself? Now, part of that is a choice. When I was in Tibet, a Lama said to me, and I thought it was profound. He said to me, "You are what you choose to become." And I was like, what about my past, my parents, the things I went through, the loss of my mother, being betrayed and PTSD? And he said, at some point, you have to choose what you want to become. And that was profound to me, right? So self love is partly a choice. It's partly, as you said earlier, which I thought was beautiful, is looking at yourself in the mirror and accepting who you are. Now, I think that the foundation stone of self love is self acceptance, right? And that's a choice you have to make, because if you don't accept yourself, it doesn't matter who you're with, and no matter what they say to you, how much they love you, you will still not accept yourself. You've got to start with yourself. So self-acceptance, and I read this in the first book, I Am, which is still the best-selling book of all my 12 books. It's amazing. I said that if you imagine that you're a flower, and there are thousands of different flowers, you accept that flower as it is. So let's just say, hypothetically, like, I don't know, I'm a chrysanthemum and you're a rose, right? Now, they're totally different flowers. So I don't want to compare myself to you and say, wow, look at the colors you have and look at the way you're growing and all these different things. I'm going to say, I'm the chrysanthemum. I'm going to accept myself as I am, and you accept who you are. So I'm not going to compare and contrast to other flowers. I'm just going to accept myself completely. And accepting yourself means that there's full ownership of who you are. And this is something, again, that I was taught um, by a shaman about total ownership. You see, when we have trauma in life, we often become a victim, which is natural and expected. And it should be like that for a while. You feel, poor me, I need help, I need support, I need a therapist, I need friends, whatever. But at some point in life, you can't stay a victim. You have to practice ownership. And ownership to me is more than self-responsibility. It's owning every bit of who you are. In other words, you look in the mirror, not just owning your physical attributes, your race, your color, your gender, your sexual orientation. It's owning your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, owning the person looking out through these eyes. Because you're not just your body, you're an inner person inside, which is beautiful and special and has never been damaged. So this acceptance is the absolute acceptance of who you are. And no more compare, contrast. Stay away from magazines and social media if you have to. There's so much in this world that's trying to tell us to be something else. You should be an action hero. You need to have rippling muscles. If you're a woman, you have to have sexy curves. It's always more and more and more and more. And those things don't help us. There's so many things I'd like to say here. One of the most profound things I was taught by a Tantra master is that you are not your body. And I know some of you might think, wow, that's a bit esoteric for me and so on. But I'd like you to think about this. When you see a car driving by, there's somebody driving that car. And what's more important, the car or the driver? So if you imagine that your body is like a car that you have, and you have one car for this entire journey of life. Now the car comes in different brands, sizes, models, shapes, colors. And it's okay. There's thousands of different kind of cars. When we meet someone, we shouldn't care what the car looks like. We care about who's driving the car, right? So when I'm meeting somebody, I don't care about your race, your sexual orientation, your gender, ethnicity. All those things are nonsense and meaningless. I'm interested in who you are driving the car. Who are you as a person? what are your, as you said earlier, which I loved, what are your core values? Because your core values define who you are and they define how you interact with other people. And when you have what I call healthy core values, you are on the road to self-acceptance and self-love.